Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live Q&A session of the 13 Roses and our 13 Roses bodily activation. Beautiful to see so many of you joining us live today, and also many of you joining us via the recording afterwards. So everybody's welcome. You are all very much included in this energy, whether you're live with us right now or joining us later. So my name is Trinu, and I'm your host for tonight. And also for you to know, this session is being recorded. And also, you will have lots of opportunities to participate. We would love to hear your insights during the session. So please feel free to put any comments, anything you'd like to add in the chat in this call. So we will follow up. And if there are questions, we will answer to them. So they're all really welcome. So I think we are ready to start. So welcome, Colette. Colette is the priestess of ancestral womb wisdom and the teacher of the feminine mysteries and psychospirituality. And she is the architect behind this whole path of the 13 roses, which you will hear about now really soon because, yeah, this is life-changing. At least it has been for me. So the floor is yours, Colette.
Thank you, Trinu, as always. Trinu is such a great person to host my work because she's been deeply involved with a lot of the teachings. So, yes, those of you that don't know me, I'm Colette Corcoran, and I have been on a journey of spirituality and womb wisdom for the past 28 years. This is not a new journey to me, but a very, very long journey since my late teens. I was trained in womb wisdom by an Egyptian teacher over many years, 10 years under his training. This was a whole story. And later, just doing lots of sacred sexual work with somatic therapy, with my own tantric teachers that I work within the feminine field. And eventually, after a long space, I developed this body of work. I really went into my own sacred sexual body so that I could deliver these teachings. And these teachings were delivered to me through my own womb, through many months of meditation and practices that you will get to do in the 13 Roses if you join us, that are completely and utterly life changing. I thank the grace of spirit and the universe and God, whatever name you want to call it, the goddess, for bringing these teachings through my womb, because I know that they live in the archetype of all women, because having worked with them, I've seen the impact that they have had on women and the impact they've had on my body. And I will talk to you about that as we go through them later in the call. So this has been a lifelong journey from me. I am a somatic teacher as the foundation of what I do. I worked in somatic. I'm trained in like 10, 11 types of yoga. And then I went into the sacred sexuality and I've studied Jungian psychology, somatic therapy, astrological psychology, energetic work, emotional work, a whole plethora of work that I felt was necessary to guide women in wisdom rather than it just being something I believed in, but something I was trained in as well. So tonight we're going to go on a really big journey. The 13 Rows is very important to me. It was developed nearly 10 years ago, actually, and it still keeps coming back up. And I had a really big message. I wasn't ready to teach this again because it's very, very deep, this course. I wanted to keep going with, I'm also a practicing druidess. So I was feeling that I would do more druidry courses. And actually, I had a profound dream and a realization that the 13 roses needed to come back into circulation purely because of the way the world is at the moment. So many of you might be thinking, what is sacred sexuality? I call it that for a reason. I do not call it Tantra because I don't believe in the tantric movement. I don't call it like sexual work or psychosexual, whatever. I call it sacred sexuality because I feel that it's rooted in the sacred, that this is a divine connection with your body that is to do with the lineages of the Magdalene, the lineages of the priestesses, the lineages of Mother Mary. They were the women that were sanctifying their body as sacred to allow such things as the Immaculate Conception, self conceiving through the divine, working through our body because we have a divine purpose. And I realized that many years ago that the sexuality of a woman was the first and foremost sacred. So I'd like you to, I'm going to talk about what sacred sexuality is, but I'd like to see in the chat, if you wish to, what you assume sacred sexuality is. What is it that you assume sacred sexuality would contain or is? Please don't be afraid of getting that wrong. There's no right or wrong when women's wisdom and intuition and words come through. My containers are never, ever about there being one set way. Your voice, your opinions, what you share are fundamental to the growth of my sacred sexuality work and also in the conversations we'll have. My belief about sacred sexuality and the work that I have done is that sacred sexuality is a conscious relationship with your sexual energy as this intelligent life force that works within your body. So it's not something that only my course will bring to you. That's rubbish. You already have sacred sexuality within your body. And it's about reawakening that, recognizing that, just spending time in a container where you can access that again. Steph has just said where the human and the divine come together from a place of expanded consciousness. Brilliant. Yes. So we come through this integration of our emotion, our spirit, our sensuality. And let's not forget, sensuality is about hearing, seeing, tasting, touching. We as women are innately sensual. We should operate on the basis of smell and touch and sight and what we hear. So all of this is part of that sacred sexuality. And exactly what Steph says, where that divine, that spirit, that God comes in and guides us. So this course, although I set up the structure of the teaching, the real teaching that happens comes from your connection with the divine. And that's why I love this course, because the intelligence comes through the women's body. And I have not done this ever and not learned something that other women bring through. And many women go on to teach this in their own way because it has such a profound impact on their body. It's not about an external performance at all. So you are never asked in my groups to ever get naked. You are never asked to do anything sexual in front of other women. It's an absolute no-no. All of that stuff, any sexual practices we have are done in the safety of your own space. Nobody else. The bedroom door's shut. You're in your own space. No one sees it. I'm not interested in the logistics of it, but rather what happens from you doing the practices. And I am a massive advocate of this because I know in the tantric circles, and Trina will share with you because she was involved with them heavily, is that there's always this boundary crossing of what's expected for you to do sexually. Nothing is expected of you here. All of the practices are between you and the divine. They're never shared. They're never done in a performative way. So this is about your connection. And that allows you to develop in a safe container, really strengthening your boundaries about what you will do, what you won't do, what you like, what you don't like. And that there's an authentic expression comes through you and that it is fueled with the creative energy that the divine wants to bring through a woman that's sacred, sexually connected. Ultimately, that sexual life force connects us so high to the gods that there is this open line of communication that begins to come on. And yet, Brenda, you're completely right. Your sexuality is not tethered to any other person at all. And that's what we learn in the container, that it is yours. And if you only ever want to keep it for you, that's fine, because we all have different paths with sacred sexuality. Some of us want to do that for ourselves. Some of us want to get a sacred lover. Some of us want two lovers. Whatever your story is yours. You know, same sex, opposite sex. I don't care how you do this, but this is first and foremost a container that you find your own connection with your sexual self. So if there's any questions about sacred sexuality, please shoot them in the chat. And I think why I'm being called to do this again, not only like I'm going to be honest with you. I've just gone through like a really difficult 18 months of my own life. And whenever I do the sacred sexual 13 roses, I go through it. Something comes up in my body, so it comes up in my sexual field that wants to heal and blow my doors down. Always, always. So I was kind of like, uh-oh, not again. It's like when I teach the women that runs with wolves, something happens in my life. And this is what happens when we do sacred sexual energy. Something comes up major that wants to change and transform us. So I don't want anyone to come on this call that is not ready for a big transformation or something to come up that is ready to be removed. But I really think at this time in the collective, just have a little think, all of you, about what's been going on out there, what we've been seeing in the news, what's going on that we're seeing happening with women. It's out there, violence against women, this rape thing that's been going on with women being attacked, violence, domestic violence up, violence against the feminine. And part of me really knows that this is the collective saying, come on, women. I know men have got their work to do. I am not by any means saying that we as victims have to take ownership of that. But I know that men need work. But in the tantric and sacred sexual field, it's the women that lead. The women and the feminine principles always lead first. They have to show that they're doing the work, that they're doing the transformation, that they're doing the healing, and the animus, the masculine, follows. And we can't escape that. And I'm glad I'm born a woman. I'd sooner lead the field than be led, actually, really, truly. So women in our world are really burnt out from overgiving and overfunctioning. A woman in her sacred sexual self does not overgive and she does not overfunction, because the sacred sexual body allows us to understand where the boundaries are with our energy, where the boundaries are with giving and receiving. So I know these things that were going on in the world, that when a woman reclaims her sacred sexual self, they really can stop happening. We want to, as women, return to the body. We really do want to feel on a sensual level. We do. We want to be touched gently, softly, devotionally. But we've got to know what that looks like, what that feels like. That's where all the self-touch comes in the practices, because they teach you about what touch feels good and what touch doesn't. And when you know that within your own body, when you know your own desire, when you know your own wants, you will never, ever allow anything in that doesn't feel like that. And in fact, many of the women here that may be in marriages and relationships, you start to guide your masculine into what feels good. Think a lot of modern day relationships, and I think it's there with the 69 million visits to the Let's Rape Your Wife site, shows that relationships are sustaining self-abandonment. They are. So there's a place where we as women will not engage with those type of men. This is what got me into this work in the first place. I read a passage that said, when women stop making love to their men because they go to war, men will not go to war. And it was the most profound sentence to me. And I thought, yeah, we actually really do have that power. Imagine every woman stopped making love to a man and said, we're out of your crazy games. We're out of your energy. They would crawl back after how many days saying, let us back in. What help? What can we do? I think it's true. A lot of old ancient teachers talked about the power being in women's sexual bodies. We get this real deep call in sacred sexuality for truth, authenticity, and embodiment. And when we're so connected to our sacred sexual self, we can feel lies. People know this about me. I can feel a mile, I can smell a lie a mile off. I know when something's authentic and when it's not. It's an energy that I feel in my body. And I do feel embodied. I feel in my body a lot of the time. And it's because of the sacred sexual practice. Every day starts for me with some self touch, with some self connection, so that I feel embodied for the rest of the day. And I'm in those places of intuition, receptivity, truth. There is an increased awareness in my nervous system because your nervous system and your sexual energy are so closely linked. Any of us that have had sexual abuse or trauma, we know how that impacts our nervous system. If we've had bad touch, bad sex, we know how that affects our nervous system. So they are aligned when we begin to say no, or we say, I like this, or I do this to me. That nervous system begins to regulate. It's about women really coming into a place where they are led by the wisdom of the womb, which is linked to intuition and instinct, and not led by their mind. Because the mind is a very masculine chakra. This is all this top energy, the ajna, the pineal is all linked to masculine enlightenment. Feminine enlightenment happens in the womb. That's why we have so few feminine enlightened beings, and it's all the men that are talked about in Buddhism and all of this. Magdalene was a womb priestess. She's one of the few women spoken about in her journey of enlightenment. Mother Mary was enlightened through the Immaculate Conception. All happened in the womb. Look at every story of an enlightened, there are very few, but they all happen in the womb. So we go from being mind led to womb led, which is where we as women really take and go on a deeper spiritual path. There's lots of other aspects to do with this. I've wrote them all down. So the womb allows us to align with soul purpose, with expression. Yeah, the enlightenment is in our womb, Ruth, and this all comes from a deep, wise space in us. All these books like Women Who Runs with Wolves, I teach that. Every of the myths is all about the womb of women. It's all about the intuition. It's all about the instinct. That masculine led path of enlightenment, what's it done for the world?
Mm.
And I practice Buddhist techniques. Like I train in a Shambhala style meditation. I go to the local Buddhist center, and really honestly, it's so mind driven and really lacks the feminine and actual deep suppression of sexual energy that I actually can't bear it a lot of times. I'm like, no wonder women sit here chanting prayers and don't feel really anything because it's so up here centered. So we know there's something deeper as women, don't we, in our body? And I think when we connect to our sacred sexual energy, we are also thinking about this place of war, violence, rape that's happening right now. It's, happening right now. So that's due to this disconnection, I feel. It is the disconnection that's happening with the sacred feminine because it's all in this male energy. So I'm just replying to Brenda and we'll let her back on. If anybody has problems with coming on and off, uh, we'll let you back on, no problem. So this is what we're doing with the change that's going on in the world, and why I felt to do the sacred sexual work now, because I do think we need to step up into that deep place of sovereignty and allow ourselves to know that we're powerful enough to change this world, to change it. And it means stepping in and owning ourselves. You know, those men in the rape sites, whatever, like I sat thinking, oh, imagine that, like what I would work on if I thought that the masculine in my world was connected to that. What would that show me about the work that I need to do on myself? So as we go on to the next slide, the 13 roses which we're going to go through tonight, and I've never done this publicly, actually, ever. The people that have only ever known what the 13 roses are were the ones that have done my courses. But I'm letting it out there. There are 13 sacred energetic points in a woman's body, and these are it. And tonight, I'm going to give you these. I'm going to activate them in you because they're super important. And I felt like this would be a gift to women, whether you do my course or not, that you just get some sense of feeling about those powerful energy points in your body. So we work 1 month in each of these places, deep practices, deep chants, deep psycho-spiritual questions. You go deep into each of these sections. So the first one, we've got the breaths. The second one, most women don't know about, is the mound of Venus. So the mound of Venus is the hump of the yoni, that place where it rounds in the yoni. If you place your hand on your yoni, which is what the word we use for vagina in sacred sexuality, that's a mound, like the sacred mounds we see in Celtic traditions, in Druid traditions. We call these mounds and barrows, and they are representative of the mound of Venus in a woman. How many women know that that's called the mound of Venus? We actually changed all the words for the female anatomy in our first group because we found out that things like the G spot is named after the guys that found it. So all the female anatomy was named after men because they cut women open. We know what they did in the Middle Ages and found these places. And then the female anatomy was named after men. Absolutely crazy. So what you're seeing here is renaming. We've got the outer lips. So our labia is the first outer lips we work on. We work on the inner lips. Then we work on the clitoris, which we call the pearl. Then we work on the sacred waters. Every woman has the ability to release water through her body and through her yoni. Not many women have seen that. The only place that's been seen is in pornography. And I don't even want to say the word that it's called. But every woman can do this cleansing release of water in their body. It doesn't need to be done with a partner. It can be done as a purification of your sacred sexual self. And we learn to do that in the group. The gateway, which is the entrance to the yoni itself. And I'm going to take you through what all these mean in a minute. The yoni walls, as you go inside the yoni, we have walls, they mean something. Then we've got the G spot. I mean, I think we all know about that, but that is the God spot. That is a place where you can experience deep spiritual connection. The holy crown, which is the cervix, it gets gritty in the cervix because we as women hold so much wounding in the cervix, so much pain in the cervix. The cervix is also orgasmic, completely orgasmic. It's like a huge portal. So we work with the cervix, and I still have loads of stuff going on in my cervix, still loads. Like I've done this for years and years and years, and I go in and this is still really difficult for me, the cervix. Then we go into the ovaries, which we call the cosmic eggs, because they hold a place of threshold between the other world, the cosmic world, and this world in your body. They are the direct communication of souls coming in. And then we've got the fallopian tubes. And the fallopian, again, the man that found the fallopian tubes is called the fallopian. So I call it the tubes of time. Yeah, these are time portals in the body. I have a big story about what happened to me when we went into the tubes of time. And then finally, the last place is the womb. And actually, you cannot access womb wisdom, alchemy, really, the true depth of womb alchemy, if you haven't gone through the entire circuitry in your body. This circuitry, when you awaken it in the body, works as an energetic field that allows you to enter the deepest place of your womb. Now, I know that even in any work I've done, Druidry, Jungian, astrological psychology, that I have to go through initiations to get there. So, for example, in Druidry, I had to go through the bards and then the ovate and then the druid. And it's the same with your sacred sexual body. We don't just get things given to us. This has been shared in the priestess temples. Mother Mary dedicated her life to devotional practice, as did Mary Magdalene. These are my two inspirational women. This is why I talk about them a lot, because I know they were devotional to their practice. And that's what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a woman just talking about spirituality because it was a belief in my mind. I wanted to be a woman who did daily practice, daily devotion. And that's who I am. And people know me and have known me for 25 years. I have never missed a day of devotional practice. I wake up every morning and I do our practice. I do a prayer. Whether that's in astrological psychology, sacred sexuality, whatever it is, I create devotion and ritual and ceremony in my life. And I think that's what really leads women apart from other women, is the women that talk about it, teach it, but actually don't live it. The 13 Roses allows a woman to live it, to actually come into practice every morning, because you're given a practice every morning, to devote to it and to devote to the most important thing in the world. And that's you. That's you. Because you're devoting to your kids, to your families, to your lovers, to your work. Think about where your devotion goes. To your dogs, to whatever, the garden. And how much time is given to the devotion to you. I'd like to see what time is devoted to you. If you want to put in the group how much time you are devoting. Maybe you're doing some work and you are devoting in a container, you are doing daily practice, you are being devotional. It's super important because we as women give that out everywhere else and seldom really truly honor our own self. Yeah. So I found the more devotion I give to myself, the more I grow actually, and the more comes through my body. You all know me in my work that I'm a prolific creator of content, of courses, and this all comes through my daily devotion to me. When I know a woman comes into daily devotion, she will come into body of work. She will start to connect to something that's deeper than she is, and that comes into service of the world. You can't escape that. So that's the 13 roses. I'm going to take you through them. I'm going to activate them and give you a little mini taste, mini skill taste of what they feel like in your body. So as we move on to the next slide, I really want to address that again. Trinu is my host tonight. She's also been a student of mine for 9 years. She has a company called Meaningful Marketing. She does a lot of my marketing too. I really trust her with my marketing and my website because she's a woman that does the work. So she knows how that needs to be translated. So I want to bring Trinu in to really just share her journey into the sacred sexuality. And she's done this 3 times. She's done 13 months of sacred sexuality work, which is why I asked her to come and help with doing a once a week call with you all on the 13 roses, because she knows this inside out and she knows nothing at all, like me. The more you do it,
Yeah.
the more you realize it's like, I know nothing at all about this. So tell us, Trina, your experience of the 13 roses.
Oh God. It's been really big and it's one of like it's my favorite journeys, honestly. I've done it twice as a participant and then once Colette did also yoga teacher training. So I was like, yes, definitely. Um, it's really hard to put it into words because it works on so many levels. It works from a physical level, how you interact with the world, also psychological level, spiritual, because we do energy work eventually with our bodies. So that's what I feel like, what I've like physically even changed. There's been like the roses which we talked about, the like there's so much work I'm gonna be honest that I feel I still need to do. But for example, I have felt my breasts completely different. I can feel some kind of like a different energetic connection with them now. And what actually really changed for me was just this kind of like my own opinion about my breasts. What do I think about them? And I've been like, it really, really softened and allowed me to accept them as they are. And my nipples are inverted. And that was, I think, very physical changed when they actually, that changed. They popped out during this course. I was like, oh wow. So that was really, really interesting. And also how my bleed changed doing this work because I've been bleeding pretty heavily through my life, but it's kind of like lessened and it's so much connected, obviously, also like how much emotional work, how much we release from each gate, from each of these portals. So it can be so, so physical also through these channels. But also like how it changed my life in one of the rounds, honestly. It gave me all of the courage to quit my job and start my own independent entrepreneurial journey. I was so, so scared to do that. I had thought about it ages, ages. And that was the moment was like, oh my God, I felt so much support. But more of it was also like, this came also from the inside. I was kind of ready to do that, to take that leap. I left a relationship that didn't serve me at all. I moved out of my hometown, changed countries. So all of these things that I really yearned to do, I there was something like I found that courage to do this within me. I had the support and also the external conditions were ripe, ripe, ripe in that sense. And yeah, this journey is deep, and of course, every woman leads also how deep they go in this. And for me, it's really been like it has when doing these practices, it has really grounded me in my own body, especially as a very airy person, as I am personally. It's kind of like anchored me back inside, and from that place you're kind of like so much more stable to navigate through different topics. And even when you yeah like yeah and it's not also only physical. Of course, I also mentioned it's very like how it changes your psyche. how you start to perceive the world, that changes. And obviously that of course then ripples through how you behave, what you say to people. I called out a racist a relative, which I would have never done because I was always the nice girl. So yeah, it goes through all of these layers of physical, psychic, psychological, emotional, into the spiritual, absolutely. So yeah, it's definitely this outer life that shifts because you're internally perceiving and navigating things differently. And yeah, what it really feels like in this course or in this journey, you're really, really held through all that you go through. And very interesting for me, it was like the first time ever I was able to be devotional, devotional to my own practice, to my own time. And this is not only just doing the practice or anything, there is so much more, something deeper happens when you actually become devotional. I can't even explain, but it's all of that anchoring and some kind of clarity and central point it gives to your life that we usually lose for, as Colette mentioned, to giving somebody else, or, just losing your life in social media. So yeah, there is a lot. And obviously in this course, I've received so much feedback from Colette, and that gives this kind of completely different perspective on things and viewpoint. And it actually allows you to see maybe your own behaviors from another angle, and those angles that actually might not serve you at all. So it really helps to like question yourself and how you've been behaving, and because of that what you've been attracting internally, from externally in inside your life as well. So I find that as the biggest, most amazing part, actually, like receiving that second point of view. And then I can make my own sovereign decision. Okay, how do I feel about this? And what does that now open up in me? And that's something completely different, a third path. So, yeah.
You, Trinu, that's like, yeah, a lot. As you can see, Trinu is like, there's a lot happens. And I'm glad, Trinu, that you mentioned the different layers that it does work on physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. When I put this program together, and believe me, it took me 9 months to write it, 9 months daily writing. I took a sabbatical out of life to write this. And I was like, oh God, how am I going to survive? How am I going to live? But I trusted that if I took 9 months out of my life to write this course, I was doing a service. And so that's what I did. I didn't work for 9 months. I just wrote. I wrote. I wrote the course. Trinu is a testimony. The physical changes that happen to your body. When I did this work, I went from a nipple on skin in breasts to a C cup. My breasts were so flat, and it was because of the wounds connected to the mother. And so I'll talk about that as we go into breasts. Inverted nipples is connected to introverts, people that hide, women that hide. Trinu needed to come out, and her nipples came out when that happened. So the physical things that happen in your body are psychosomatic. We know that from a psychological somatic perspective, that everything that appears in your body is related to your psyche. So the body undergoes a big transformation too. Women with heavy bleeds, no bleeds, that changes. Women who don't bleed, that changes, because you're working with the underlying problems in the psyche with a woman as to why all this is happening. So post-menopausal women this time around, it really helps it will help balance hormones. It will help understand that even though that part of your life has gone, that the deeper wisdom wants to come through, because most postmenopausal women don't ever get a container to work in on that postmenopausal wisdom, which actually is more profound than pre-menopause. So this container allows the absolute wisdom of postmenopausal wisdom, and women who are not yet postmenopausal. We start to watch patterns with each other. It's so beautiful. It really, really is. So thank you, Trina, for that huge testimony of how that has integrated into your life. And I have witnessed it. And I think anyone that's in my containers will share that I am really deeply, deeply compassionate person. I'm very empathetic. I'm very compassionate, but I'm also a good ass kicker. So there will be points I will say, no, no, like that is nonsense. Like I will pull you up. And actually, I learned that from the best teachers that I knew. I started to go to shadow worker teachers that were Jungian analysis, actually, and I didn't want the nice ones. I wanted the ones that were going to tell me the truth. And I'd said, I don't want somebody that just tells me nice things. I need my ass kicking. I need you to tell me that I'm in a wound, that I'm in denial, that I'm in suppression, because I want to move quick. I don't want you to baby me into my next stage of life. I want to be put into my next stage of life by me understanding me. So the key here is that the ego doesn't allow you the truth. It will defend you and as much as it can. And you need someone who can see behind the ego and say, actually, I'm going to challenge what you say here. And so I do challenge what people say, not because I know and I'm right, but I challenge it because I don't care what the answer is, but I just challenge people because you will believe a certain thing about yourself and you'll never challenge that belief. And sometimes challenging a belief can change the way you live your life. So that's the purpose of the challenge. Yeah. So as we go on now, we're going to go on to the first rose because I want to put these in your body. And it's going to be really brief. There's 13 of them. How beautiful is that? Classic art. I love classic art. I said to Trini today that my Sacred Rose Temple group is in danger of being taken off Facebook because I am posting classic art images of naked bodies. Can you believe it? So we can have all this pornography, we can have all this horrible stuff on the internet, but I'm sharing classic art images of women's bodies, and it's deemed as not okay, and that they'll remove me. Well, they can remove me. These images, classic art images of mythology, hold a symbolic language that empowers women. That's why I use them. These hold myths. They hold deep powers for women. That's why I use them in all my work. I know the power of classical art. So look at that image and what it does. These are quite young breasts. So when we go into the breast, we're going into the mother wound because your breasts have emotional memory and heart intelligence. There are early imprints of love and nurturing and being met in your breasts or not, as my case were, and why they were flat as a pancake. There is a connection here between the heart, giving, and self-abandonment. We go deep into these impressions in the breast. So what I want us to do tonight is to just place our hands over our breasts. And just feel that roundness, like accept whatever shape they are, accept whether they're low or they're high or they're small or they're large. That's a big body of work in the breasts as well. But placing your hands on your breasts. And I just want you to take one breath into them and see if you can connect to the mother energy. Children or no children is irrelevant here, but the mother energy. And as you take that big breath in and big breath out, I want you to activate the rose one, the breasts connected to the mother. And then as you open your eyes, we come to rose 2. And the rose 2 is the mound. the mound of Venus. Oops, the PowerPoint's going crazy with all the sexual energy. So we're going back to the mound. And if you place your hand just on top of your yoni, feel that rounding where the yoni begins, over your clothes. The mound is self-worth. It also holds connections, just the start of connections to the ancestors. But the mound is the seat of feminine value and sensual identity. It's a groundedness, your relationship to desirability and self-perception. And as you place your hand on the mound, just reclaim your self-worth, release external validation. So as you breathe in, reclaim self-worth. And as you breathe out, release external validation. Very brief connection to the mound of Venus, Rose 2. And we move on to Rose 3. So we can still touch or we cannot. I can feel my outer labia. I can feel my outer lips. I can place my hand on them. The outer labia is about the silencing of women. The outer labia is the guardian. We meet the guardian in Rose 3. The guardian speaks to us. It says, do not let this person in. It's a place where we learn protection, where we understand where fear lives in our body, and we know where a contraction is or an openness. But it holds the imprint of being silenced or shut down. So as you connect to your outer labia, I want you to feel the lips as guardian of you. And exhaling the places where you've been silenced and shut down. And as you breathe in, just replace the guardian that does not allow any energy in this place that isn't in your best interest. And as you exhale, just feel the outer labia. Lips of communication. As we move on to Rose 4. The inner labia. Give a beautiful, beautiful practice in the inner labia where you see a divine feminine in your own labia. But the inner labia is the voice of truth. It's where you learn to express yourself in deeper communication. It allows the body's connection to truth and revelation, allowing the feminine to soften because she feels safe. She's got the guardian in place on the outer labia. She knows she's protected. And so she can soften and be heard. The inner labia, if you can feel it, just breathe into it, is a holy place where we often see images of the Divine Mother, in fact. If you ever see the image, there's one on this PowerPoint of the Mother Mary in her robe. She looks like the inner labia. She stands for truth, revelation, and the feminine that is heard. In your inner labia, just feel that place where you can be heard. And as you exhale, just bringing yourself into the next rose. Rose 5, which is the clitoris or the pearl. This beautiful image I made of the pearl. This is where Eros is, where your connection for the divine comes in. I shared recently that this year, 2026, was one of the first years that the full mapping of the clitoris has ever been done. This is the only sensual organ of any body made purely for pleasure. It's the center of your pleasure. Some of you have hidden clitorises, some of you have ones that hide, hooked away, numb, oversensitive, never experienced a release. Every woman has a story in the pearl. It allows your pleasure, your aliveness, and your life force to start accumulating, because the pearl will awaken your erotic intelligence as a power for you in your body. And the pleasure in our body, once we experience it with the pearl, is a guiding force in your life to seek pleasure. So you can place your hand there, or you can just feel it. I don't even need to touch it. I can feel it. That little pearl that is about pleasure, that guides me to find pleasure in my life in all its forms. So as you breathe into the pearl, tell it, I see you, I feel you. Let me seek pleasure. And as you exhale and disconnect, if you can, we move on to row 6. We move from the external to the internal, to our sacred waters. It's called the Amrita, holy waters, where is all connected to a woman who hasn't experienced her waters. It's because of control. When we release control, when we feel safe, when we feel held in our own body, in our own security, in our own voice, in our own truth, in our own pleasure, the waters release into a flow of feminine sexual energy. This isn't a stunt. It's not only available to some women. It's absolutely nonsense. All our anatomy, every single woman's body is able to do this. It's a natural flow of sacred sexual energy where your control, your holding, your restriction gets released, or at least you can begin to understand that there's so much control and inability to let go that the fluidity and the trust cannot release in your body either. So I just want you to feel inside, just beyond the clitoris, inside, where you hold that contraction, where you hold that control, where you hold that tension, where you're not safe, where you can't speak out. And I just want you to take a deep breath into it. And can you feel it? So hard to let it go. And just take another inhalation. And tell your sacred waters that you know that they're there, that they do exist in you. This holy water purification lives in your body. And you just need to master yourself in order to release. And take a big sigh, a big gush of watery sigh. As we come into row 7. The gateway. We're going in. Where's the gateway? There is a space on entrance into the yoni that's a little bit tighter, that feels like a band or just a subtle tightness. This is the gateway. This is the opening. Women haven't experienced this because self-touch hasn't been shown to them how to feel this place. Nor have they had lovers who can take themselves to that gateway point and just be there. It's always about penetration. So this gateway point for yourself, or if you're with a lover, if we stay there and halt there, we feel this portal, we feel this gateway, and it's a threshold into deeper feminine awareness. I never know what's there for you. This gateway reveals itself to you in the course and what it holds and what's the veil and what's the threshold. But if you can go beyond the gateway, which we can, you'll feel this trust, this readiness, and this natural body's timing and a deep wisdom that pulls you further in. So just have a little contraction and a squeeze down there. Take a breath in and try to move there inside. And say to the gateway, reveal yourself to me. I'm new to you being there. Oh, hi. And take an exhalation. All this is being activated as we go through it tonight. It's making itself known to you. As we move on to Rose 8, we get the walls, the inside of our yonis. During the course, you get to learn about the different shapes and sizes. The deer woman, the antelope woman, the dancer. We all have different shapes that give us different lengths, widths, and there is matching lingams to go with those. It's amazing wisdom. It's done by an ancient tribe. There's no such thing as too big, too small, too whatever. It's all nonsense. Your yoni has an anatomy, and the anatomy comes from your ancestors. The width of the walls, the tightness of the walls, the thickness of the walls, the moisture in the walls is where lineage, memory, and stories are held. In the walls, you have emotional and sexual imprints across generations. Imagine going into a cave and you see all those etchings and symbols and drawings. That's what your yoni wall's like. It holds these ancestral whispers and images. And when you go into this place in the course, these images are released, these ancestral stories are released into the cavity of your yoni so you can reclaim them. You can also rewrite them. Sexual trauma, no orgasm, no lovemaking, all of this can be rewritten here. And you decide what your story, what emblems and symbols you put on the wall here to rewrite your ancestral yoni walls. So take a deep breath into those walls, feeling what you can't yet see in the symbols and the stories and the whispers and echoes of the ancestors and the healing that's needed to be done here. And just acknowledge the yoni walls as a place of rewriting and healing. And as you exhale, the activation of Rose 8 is done, and we walk into the space of Rose 9, which is the God spot, the G spot. The place that you can massively release into a pool of ecstasy and God, or a place where you can't, because something is there that needs to be moved. This is the point that women talk about: the inability to orgasm, the inability to really surrender. And I don't mean with a partner, I even mean with just yourself. We can, in sacred sexuality, lie naked on a bed, touch ourselves, and feel an orgasm run through our body. It's never about another. It's about making your feminine body this orgasmic portal again. But sacred sexuality lives in the God spot. It's your connection as an energetic connection. Anything to do with sex is nothing to do about a man or another woman or another person. It's about your connection to God, creator, whatever you want to call it. It's a pleasure pathway to deeper consciousness. When you experience the God spot completely, I've entered realms and spaces where God existed, and I've seen God there. I felt the divine, I felt bliss more than any other thing I've done. And I've done plant medicine, I've done things like that. But in a true God spot experience, you dissolve into the divine. Dissolve. I believe that's where Mother Mary, conceived. I believe in that space she was able to conceive a child. It reclaims sexuality as sacred, not as an act that you do with someone or yourself, but a devotional practice that allows you to experience this godliness, this sacredness. I'm not saying the first time you do that, that's going to happen, although it has for some women. It could be it was a real tough spot for me, a real tough spot. I had to really work at it. I went back to Rose 9, back to Rose 9, because you know what? I wanted Rose 9 more than anything, more than anything. So I went back and back and back until I released the very thing that blocked me. And it was all to do with religious conditioning, sin about sexuality. That was all there. That was all in the way of me releasing into my divine connection. And there's practices, believe me, there's like, I think in a month there might be 9 or 10 practices. There's practices that you choose to help you with these releases. So Rose 10. Oh, actually, just before I go to your Rose 10, sorry, Trinu. I want you to go to the G spot. It's up and behind the clitoris, past where the Amarita is released. You'll get diagrams for all of this in the course. But just imagine where that G spot is in your body. Just visualize it, that this is a place of pleasure in your body as you take a breath in that can catapult you. It's like the ejection button in a car to God, that when I eject, you zoom off into bliss, staticness, orgasmic consciousness. It is possible. And take an exhalation, come back out of there, you lot. And into Rose 10. I still don't like this one. It's Rose 10, and it's the cervix. And it's where masculine and feminine wounding live within you. We get to really see what the cervix looks like, what it does in our body, how it operates, how it moves in our body. If we're still in cycle, it moves up and down. If we're postmenopausal, it's gone somewhere. It's actually lifted somewhere. What's it doing there? What's its job now? These are deep relational imprints in our body, the meeting point of vulnerability and power. And that is essential in this month, is that you understand where your vulnerability overlays into your power. The cervix is also orgasmic. It can orgasm. The cervix can also be super painful. This is my experience. It can get abnormal cells. That's a whole teaching in there, why that happens emotionally, psychosomatically. But what is in the cervix and it's opening and closing, it's like a beautiful pink donut, is the feminine and masculine dynamic within your own body. And that will come up within relationships and also your parents. This Rose 10, I think, is when I see the most array of woundings come up in people and healings, actually. There's really deep healings and woundings come up in all of them. But this is the one that I'm never surprised by, because I don't know what's inside everybody's cervix. It's always something really new to me when women do this. So, yeah, you bring your own wisdom of the cervix into the container. So just close your eyes and feel. Many women have no relationship to the cervix. They don't really know what that feels like unless we have a child and we know what that feels like for it to dilate. Some of us have no experience of understanding what it was like when it was bleeding. I felt mine because I've done this work for years when it lowered, when it raised. I felt it in lovemaking. I felt it opening when I had a child. I felt it opening in lovemaking too. It can't open for lovemaking. But feel this place that's either known or unknown in you, this beautiful pink donut. It's the easiest way to get the image of it. That holds your point of vulnerability and power, and what comes through this is unknown to me, but will be revealed to you at this point. And take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and honor and recognize that the cervix is a living power within your body. As we come to rose 11. What's next, you say? The ovaries. The ovaries, this is where it's got dicey for me in teaching this in the past. I had big healing to do in ovaries. I had big healing to do in the fallopian tube, in the tubes of time. So the ovaries are about our soul's creation. This is where women begin to feel that there's fertile eggs in them that contain their soul journey, their soul ignition, their soul fire. It's really revealing to us that the ovaries are about the center of life, the cycles and the rebirth. Think about the ovaries and how they release so we ovulate so that we can conceive, not just conceive a baby, but conceive what? That when our ovaries no longer function like that, how are they functioning? What are they doing? What can we still conceive by feeling what was a cycle in our body that no longer is? But what the ovaries do, even as they shrivel up, even as they start to lose their estrogen and progesterone, they are holding potential. They still have your potential in there. And if we're post-menopause, we really want to extract that potential out while we can. It gives us a vision, it gives us soul expression. And it really bridges the ovaries, your connection between sexuality and creation. Where is your sexuality in your body? If your sexuality is dead, so is your creative field. Because they are the same, and the ovaries teach us that. So imagine these two rounding ovaries that hold the eggs of time, all time, that hold all the imprints of your mother, grandmother, great grandmother. It goes all the way back in the ovaries. The cells hold all the information of all the creativeness in your lineage. Close your eyes and just connect to those, no matter what stage of life you're in. So I've only got one, I'll tell you that journey. And some of you have two. Some of yours are really active, still ovulating, still releasing. Some of yous are all starting to come back and wilt in like a beautiful little flower, saying my job of dropping that out there into a cycle is over, but the ovaries are still really energetically active to create something else. And take a breath into the acknowledgement that the ovaries, whatever stage they are receptors of your connection between your sexuality and your creativity and your soul. Take a big breath. And we're ready to come into rose 12. I actually just got a twinge in the space where my ovary was. So it was during the fallopian tubes that I had an ectopic pregnancy. I was teaching the fallopian tubes, the tubes of time, and I had an ectopic pregnancy where a fertilized egg was caught in my left fallopian tube, my feminine fallopian tube. And during the course, I carried on teaching. I was in hospital. I had to have a blood transfusion. It was horrific. I nearly died. But the fallopian tube was removed. And the reason it's removed, and any of you women that have had things removed, it's because there was something you couldn't heal in this lifetime somatically. So this is a pathway of deeply trusting the unfolding of life through the body. I wasn't. I really wasn't. It's a deeper journey of becoming. The feminine line in my ancestry was never, ever that. And my fallopian tube had to be removed so that I could physically overcome the unfolding of trust. Seriously, I couldn't trust the unfolding until that point. I was always micromanaging. I was always in control of it. Something bigger happened to me when that operation happened. And I realized how actually small I was, how vulnerable I was, how much I had to trust in the creator. Because during the operation, I went in the death tunnel. I saw the white light. I followed it. A man took the baby off me and said, "Go back. You're not ready to die yet." And I knew it was a healing. And it took me a month with the women to understand why that had happened in the fallopian tube. Now, I'm the most extreme case. Sorry, none of you are going to get through operations. But I know that as the leader and the holder of this work, that it impacts me more deeply. And it was something I had to go through to allow this journey to deepen also for other women. So I worked extensively on why this happened. The fallopian tubes in you, whether they're there or not, because that's a whole other game. I can still work with my left fallopian tube. It's not physically in my body, but it's energetically there. The same as if you've had your womb removed. If you've had any parts removed, it's irrelevant. Your body is the energetic gatekeeper and holder of those energies. So we just pull them down from the other world, from the cosmos, from the Great Mother, and work with them on another world level. So I'll teach those of you that haven't got parts to do that. But the fallopian tubes really, really take us into the deeper journey of becoming. They ask us to trust the guidance rather than to control it or prevent it, because many of us are preventing it. And I was preventing it also by not trusting it. So both for me. So just feel those fallopian tubes, the tubes of time. We're not calling it the man. We renamed this later on. But for tonight's call, if I was to call them the tubes of time, people might get like, no, we know them as fallopian tubes. So we'll change the language in the course. As you feel your fallopian tubes or where the fallopian tubes were, know that they have the ultimate ability to give you time and direction. They don't need your timing. They are on their own timing. They release the egg every 28, 30 days. That's what they did. They know timing. They're your body's clock. They ask you to surrender and trust the unfolding through the body so that your deeper journey, which is more womb aligned, can begin to evolve. If we don't do the work in the fallopian tubes, we cannot do the deeper unfolding into the womb because the womb will be on our time instead of the tubes of time's time. So as you breathe in and out of the fallopian tubes, we're coming to the last but not least, rose 13. The womb wisdom that all women contain. Again, if your womb's there or not, it doesn't matter. The womb wisdom is probably, I could probably write 10 years of courses on womb wisdom. So we touch the womb wisdom in month 13. We begin to understand and really feel that the womb is the center of our intelligence as a woman, that it holds our intuition, that it holds our instinct, that it holds a deeper voice, that it holds the breath, that it's directly connected to the beloved life force that created the earth itself, that it's a center of intelligence and deeper knowing, that this integrative feminine life force that lives in the womb is looking for a way out into the world through every single woman's body on this planet. But women aren't aware of it. So how the hell can it be? And this allows us to live from a deeper space of embodied wisdom and inner authority. You can chuck out your tarot cards. You can chuck out asking me any questions. You can forget asking your psychic guide. You can stop opening a page and hoping it's got the answer, because guess where had the answer all along? Your deep innate wisdom of the womb. And that's where we end up in womb rose 13, where you begin to have some understanding that there's this huge wisdom that is connected to the great womb of the world that created all life. Look out your window, look at the trees, look at the sky, look at the birds, look at the stones, look at life out there. That was created from the womb of the world. And your womb, as we'll discover, is connected to that great mother's womb. And if we can tap into it, we can pull as much wisdom as the world needs through. And that's why I want to teach this work. That's why I want you to embody this work. That's why I want you to be vessels of the deep innate wisdom that belongs to you, that doesn't sound like mine because it's not mine. The great mother, the great cosmic womb works through you in the way that it wants to work through. So your voice and womb and wisdom is different to mine, because you have an intelligence that I have, that I've just been able to spend the time practicing on. That's the only difference. So this course is an invitation for women who really want to tap into that inner voice, teachers, leaders, women that just want to do it for themselves and their family. Whatever your call is, this is what the 13 Roses is about. And believe me, every single woman that's touched this course goes off to live a deeper womb experience, whatever that looks like. And yeah, they're changed by it. The testimonies, Trina will put a link on, but on the page of the 13 Roses, we have, I think, at least 10 teachers sharing what it did to them, how they experienced it, how life changed for them. So you can read those and listen to, not listen to me, but listen to other women and then what they did with it, like how they used it in their lives. So yeah, my testimony of it is not me. It's the testimony of all the women in the course. And yeah, every womb, I had 2 miscarriages, I had the ectopic pregnancy, and all of these made sense to me on this journey. I understood why they'd happened to me. I understood what needed healing. I understood the why my womb didn't want to bring life in through the connection that I was in to create these children and all of that. So unresolved stuff in your life that's happened, sexual contact, your own sense of sexual self, any child loss, all of it will come up for healing and really truly find its healing and its answer. It really does. And that's nothing to do with me, but rather your own innate intelligence that begins to come through with the support of the container. So just place your hands on your womb space as we begin to exhale from the womb and feeling the womb. This might be really known territory to you or might not be, but the womb as the space of feminine enlightenment, as the place of instinct, as a space of intuition, of the space of deep intelligence and wisdom. And take a breath in that remembering of the womb. And take an exhalation. The activation of the 13 roses is alive in your body, even by this small integration. Just feel those 13 roses, the breasts, without me mentioning them. Just try to feel that circuitry alive in your body. 13 energetic points in the feminine body, now aware of themselves within you. Take a big deep breath in and exhale. As we move on to I think this might be the second to last slide. Just, this is a very short list. I didn't want to bore you with what changes. The women speak for themselves in the interviews if you want to see, but you just have, for me, and from what I got fed back, is there's just stronger boundaries and self-respect, clearer voices and expression, a deeper connection to the body and the womb. We allow desire in our body and we're guided by it. We've got more confidence in ourselves and a magnetism. Women really talk about the magnetism. Our men look at them differently. Women talk to them differently. Like something happens, people feel it in your body. Release of shames that you've carried around for aeons of time and self-doubt. Your nervous system begins to soften. Relationships, whether you're in them or you want them, become more aligned and through choice. And your creative life force is activated. I think there's a real sense of women coming home to themselves, being more in their authority, more in their sovereignty, more in their understanding that they're really super powerful beings. And that this sacred energy and sexual energy, oh my God, why did he ever steer away from it? It wasn't about having sex. It wasn't about making love to a man. It really wasn't about what I thought it was. It was about making my body, my mind, my soul alive again. That's what it's about. Really alive and finding a sacred purpose, which is what wants to come out of sacred energy, sexual energy. It's always about co-creating and creating in the world. So the last slide is just the logistics really about what the 13 Roses courses will look like. It's 13 months because 13 is the number of the moons of cycles of a woman. Also, it's the 13 moons. It relates back to the old times of the temple. Every month, we have a live teaching. We have an hour and a bit class, always an hour and a half I kind of teach for. And a transmission. I will lead you through. I haven't done a transmission tonight. The transmissions are very profound. So I need us to be in a sacred space for that. You get the temple practice PDF, which is very lengthy. You get to choose which you want to do in of those practices, but they're yours for a lifetime. You get a women's space where we witness you weekly and we'll add comments saying, go here, look here, try this. Both me and Trini will be guiding you there. And you have a monthly live discussion with Trini. So there will be 2 calls a month. You're not obliged to come to any of them. You can do them all as recordings. But Trini will hold a space for you all to talk about what's going on with you all. And you obviously journey through the body rose by rose. So we start to do that on May the 4th. Ruth's leaving us, but Ruth signed up. So I'm looking forward to working with you, Ruth. We start on the 4th of May. And the 4th of May will be the first temple call. We will gather in temple. We will come with candles. I will send emails out of the little ceremonies that we will begin to do together. And then I will lead you through the teaching of that rose, the deeper teaching, the transmission, and the practices. I will guide you what the practices are. And then for the month, you begin to do the practices and you start to interact into the discussion group. So the time calls will be, I'm predicting 7 p.m. CET time, so the time that this class started. But I'm always I'm willing to change the times if we have a group of women that have different, time scales. So for now, 7 p.m., if that causes a problem, then we'll change it. So I wonder if there's any questions. So you feel free to put questions in the chat, or if anybody would like to unmute and share or ask, please feel free to do that now. We've got 5 minutes. And don't be frightened. I'm sure you've got a question, Michelle. I can almost feel it bursting through you.
I just want to say that um, whatever course you do with you, it is life changing and so worth it. So, yeah.
Michelle, like I'm really grateful for that comment, and really truly it's life changing because you come in and want to be life changing. Honestly, like it's met halfway. There's no way you could change your life if you weren't willing to be and put yourself up into that. So you've been an honor to work with, honestly, you really have. Like in watching you grow in my womb containers has been truly like I'm emotional about it because absolutely you have shown that this work works and you've changed a life from it. So I'm very, very humble in having you with me. Yeah, hope you can come to this.
Thank you.
So the live recordings, if we miss the live, yes, every single call will be recorded and put in the portal. When you sign up for this course, we have a different, you'll get a different month, which has each month's teachings in. There will be discussions. We'll open up a little discussion place somewhere that's suitable for all of us, maybe on I don't like doing it on Facebook because it's too encrypted. People can read all those messages. Facebook holds the information. So I prefer to do it on things like MeWe, where it's not where we don't get it doesn't get kept on the servers. I can do that on my website where I don't keep it on a server as well. So we will have a space where we communicate. The video will be uploaded there as well as on the teaching portal. And both videos that I do, the teaching and the discussion group with Trinu, will be uploaded for you to see every single month. So, yeah, I mean, it's impossible, I think, for everyone to do the 13 months. Life gets in the way. Yeah. So it will all be accessible if you miss. But the discussion groups are people talking them daily. It's the discussion group that keeps everything alive, actually. So that discussion group will be there.
There's another
Yeah,
question.
Brenda.
If meetings be on Monday each month, or does it also vary?
Yeah, so for now, I think we did put in that it would be Monday evenings, but the same again, when we sign up, if there is like someone saying, I can never do a Monday, we will try to find I hate being rigid. We've got to have some framework. So it'd be like Monday at 7 p.m. But if that's a major problem for the people that sign up, I'm not just going to stick to Mondays when no one can come. I'll say, okay, what day works for us, and we can kind of come for some agreement. So it will be Monday to begin with, and then might change depending on people's thing. But usually everybody can kind of do the Monday night seems a good night to do these courses. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, Trini will add it under there, Steph. So you've got it. And again, all the information for the course is on that link. It shares what we cover in the 13 months. There's a PDF that you can download that shares everything about the course. And yeah, I'm grateful for everybody as well, Brenda, being on this course and receiving the 13 Roses as my first public transmission, really. You know, I've never given it without being outside of the container. So now you can all feel it in your body. So before we go, may we all place our hands on our womb and take a big, deep breath. And let's just say that we as women, we really stand for the change that needs to come on this planet. We know that the life force of the sacred feminine is the answer to healing on this planet. It really is. And that we stand as those women, we stand as those womb wise women who wish to be the change we want to see in the world. And may we just send out all our wombs love, all our wombs wisdom to all the women in the world that are currently struggling, to all the women who are in pain and in suffering, who have had violence against them or repression. We stand with you in our wombs. And if we're in a place of privilege, a place where we can, with time and energy and resources, we prepare to do this work so things change. And we just send our wombs love to all the women who are suffering in the world. And we send the womb gratitude and love to our own ancestors, the lineages in which we have come. We send them blessings. We send them love. We remember them. And we take a big inhalation. And we bless each other. Namaste. Awen. Amen. Whatever we say to each other's wombs. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Really take care and much love.
Thank you, everybody, for joining our live call. Whether you decide to join us, which will be amazing, we will be so happy to welcome you all, or you prefer to stay connected with us through emails. So absolutely everything is fine. But for this session, you will receive the recording via your email. And yes, we hope to see you, as many of you possible, in the course. And I feel really what also Colette said, and it was written in her blog today, that until we as women, we stop leaving ourselves, abandoning ourselves, nothing changes in the world. And I really, really feel it. So whatever way you find for yourself to truly devote and dedicate and step into your own being, this world needs it more than ever, honestly. So thank you so much, and we'll stay connected via email when you receive this recording. Bye for now.